Oh, hello everyone! I am in a back seat of my 1992 Range Rover LSE. I thought that I will be making a video on how I am fixing the issue with the power memory seats, which were totally inoperative at the moment of purchase of this Range Rover, but actually I had my first new breakdown. So, a couple of weeks ago, the air compressor for the air suspension stopped working completely. Eventually the Range Rover was on its bum stops and it was, just a pain to even move it around. It's a good thing that I have these books because I found this section on air suspension. I found where to look for the fuses and relays. I have zero experience in working on these kind of Range Rovers, so I removed some covers and I saw the socket for the fuse and it said 70 amps max on that socket and it had a 40 amp fuse inside, and I thought, why it's different, but I was still conservative. I went to the shop and bought a 50 amp fuse, installed it, and the air compressor started working again. So I thought it's a very good thing. I fixed it. So I drove around for like one day and it stopped working again. And then I took this other very nice book, which is Electrical Troubleshooting Manual, looked at the wiring diagrams and noticed that actually it said that there should have been a 30 amp fuse. So one of the previous owners installed a 40 amp fuse, it got blown, and I've installed even worse, a 50 amp fuse, and I think that I fried the air compressor. So now I will have to do some tests to see what's really wrong with it, and hopefully it's only air compressor which is now broken. In order to find out what's happening, I have to do some testing. I can hear that the valve block for the electronic air suspension is still working, so it means that, well, in general, the ECU is alive and is still trying to maintain the Range Rover in a level position, but it cannot add any air into the system. So now I will try to find out if there is a power going to the air compressor. To do it, I have to take out this relay. Actually, this exact relay is turning on and off the air compressor. And if I jump the pins in the socket number 87 and number 30, it should turn on the air compressor immediately. It works the same with the Range Rover P38, but in that case this relay is under the hood. So now I will check if I have power coming to this relay, and yes, the ignition is on and I can see that I have 12 volts here. I will jump those two pins, a pin number 87 and a pin number 30, and that should turn on the air compressor no matter what. I don't know if you can hear it. I heard the valve block click, but actually the air compressor itself did not start, so that pretty much means that there's something really wrong with the air compressor. So now I will go under the car and see if I have power coming to the air compressor there. If I have it, I will, well, try to connect the air compressor directly, and if it doesn't start, it means that, well, 99% there's something wrong with the air compressor. And now try to disconnect it. Oh, yes. Great success. Now I'll try if I have 12 volts here at this socket. So it should come to this side. And here is a positive, here is a negative wire. Ignition on. Positive. Negative. Or it's a way around, I don't know, but still I'm getting a reading here. And the last thing I need to check is the continuity between the wires in the air compressor, between the black and the orange. It should mean that the thermal cutout switch is okay. Yep, it's okay. So basically there's something wrong with the air compressor and I need to take it out. So I did some work off the camera. I took it out and I had two options. One was to buy a new one, and the second was to find a used one. I found some very nice guy, a Land Rover specialist, who actually looked at my compressor, and he said that it was, you know, the electrical part was fried completely, and the mechanical part was actually also quite in a bad shape. At some point in its life, this compressor had water inside it, and it did its damage. He had some P38 compressors lying around, some classic Range Rover compressors lying around, so he built me one good example, and now I will try to install it and see if this fixes all the problems. So this is the new air compressor, and he also changed the O-rings in the valve block. So now, if I am correct, when I turn on the car, everything should work. Hopefully exactly that will happen. This is just a temporary battery. Okay, I have light. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so that's in place. Everything's connected there. Okay, hooked up. Don't remember myself doing anything else. I can hear it working! This here is a distance which this Range Rover lifted up itself with a new compressor. So now I need to lower everything down again a little bit so I can put on the cover. Again, I am in a back seat of the Range Rover to wrap up this day. So today I fixed the air compressor by replacing it with a new one. I might have helped to kill it with this 50 amp fuse which I installed previously, but the mechanic who looked at my old compressor to see if it's still repairable but eventually sold me another one, he said and he showed me that the mechanical part of this old air compressor was really in a very bad shape. It was very loud actually. It's my first Range Rover, so I don't know how loud it should be. Anyway, you know, it's 1992. But now the new one, you barely can hear it when the engine is working. And the mechanical part, so the mechanical part was really worn out. In general, at some point in its life, this air compressor sucked in some water, so it had like water damage inside. Therefore, I don't see anything bad about replacing it with a unit in a very good shape. I think that the most useful thing here is the lesson that I learned, that you need to actually use these books to the 100%. And before swapping out any blown fuses, check if they are the right fuses and don't go with the irons anyway. So again, if you found any useful information here in this video, you can like it, you can subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Well, I hopefully will be actually solving the issue with the power memory seats.